Evening, welcome to Orange and Blueblood Thursdays. We do things a little bit different on the Buddy Martin Show. Our normal panel, Ben Troupe, Franz, Loren Meadows, we discuss things of a more passionate matter, not necessarily journalism, sometimes just our own passion. And tonight we'll talk about a lot of things regarding passion, not the least of which is the greatest generation, what they meant to us and why we're able to enjoy the freedoms of this country. I'll show you a picture of a favorite uncle. We'll talk about that. We've got a great picture of Terry Bradshaw with a huge fish. What do you see this fish? And we got some talk to do about this baseball team. Still alive, playing on Saturday. And we'll talk about the baseball and also what a great week it's been for Gator fans. Standing by, I think Ben Troupe is in the Orange and Blue room. Orange and Blue Bloods is about to go on the air right now. Tell your friends and neighbors to come join us.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
I'm just going to open the show with this right here. This is my Uncle Harry Spivey, who was in World War II, part of D-Day, wounded, and was a terrific soldier, a terrific uncle, a terrific guy, and he's one of the greatest generations that made us what we are free today in America to be able to enjoy the things we love, including Gator football. So every Memorial Day, I try to look up this photo of Harry Spivey, who was quite a man in Braden and quite a soldier and a guy that I'll never forget. And by the way, thank you, Uncle Harry. All right. I'm sure you all have some people to thank today. It's Memorial Day week, and I didn't serve in the Army or Navy or Air Force. I was drafted, went and got my walking papers, and they told me you'll be shipping out to Jacksonville. And right about that time, my wife got pregnant. They said, "Well, if you're a father, expecting father, you don't have to go." Well, I got to be not kidding you. I didn't want to really go, so I didn't go. But hats off and to remembering all the people who did serve. And I just had in my mind today as I'm listening to stories about Normandy and the incredible fear that must have gripped those 17, 18-year-old kids who hit that beachhead, and so many died. And I just want to say thank you to all those people who did that. My goodness, supreme sacrifice. Ben, I heard your comments earlier in the week talking on Rob's show. We all have some kind of person we think about on Memorial Day. What was yours, Ben?
Mine is always my brother and my father. My father served in the Army. My brother served in the Marines. Going into my senior year at the University of Florida was a different type of year for me because obviously you finally, you think you finally arrived, buddy, as a player because you think you finally done everything they need you to do. You checked all the boxes, and going into that season gave me so much perspective because I don't know what tour this was for my brother. I don't know if it was his first or his second, but I just remember him. He had, he had to go on one of his tours of duty, and it just made me really, really understand. He was like, "Look, no matter where I go, I'll be able to get your game. So no matter where I am, this is way before streaming.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate. And so I'm getting asked. I remember this. I'm getting asked before the season. What type of season do I want to have?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, my brother and his fellow, Marines, they about to jump off of a plane into a war zone. That's if they ready for it, not ready for it, want to do it, don't want to do it. So for me, it made going into my senior year way more memorable because for me, buddy, I had a little bit, I came into Florida, I got 100% selfishness in me. After my freshman year, I had about 80. After my sophomore year, I had about it was around about like 40, 35. Going into my senior year, my junior year, I still had about 20%. My brother killed whatever percentage of selfishness I had in me going into my senior year. My brother killed it all because it made me understand why I really play. There are people like my brother for whom, like you said, buddy, do I think Buddy Martin is better served here in America than he would have been over there? Who knows? But I know your contribution to this world is far greater than what you do as as a journalist, as an analyst. My brother was one of the ones. My father, obviously, I said he served in the Army. There are certain people in his life that it's just hard to express them in words. And when it comes to our servicemen and women, that's what they are, because they'll do it again in a heartbeat. And when you meet them, I always say this: don't use service people as a ploy. Don't use them as a hashtag. Don't use them as a measuring stick. Use them as, this is what I aspire to be. To my family, to my community, to the people that I know, to the people around me, because they are some of the most humble people you'll ever come across, and they make not just made. Some people say they continue to make sacrifices because we don't treat them with the amount of respect they've earned. There's something in this country called homeless veterans. It should be illegal. You should see a homeless veteran. The police should pick them up and take them to the nearest, nicest home they can find and say, I better not catch you back out. Because the least we can do is for them, because they did the most for us. So to every serviceman and woman, I can't say thank you enough, because I was blessed enough. BJ Bennett's brother, his father served in the Army National Guard for like 30-something years. And his brother, JT, is following his daddy's footsteps. Before JT was, I think he had been in, I want to say 17 years, 18 years. And it happened, buddy. His regular life, him and his servicemen, they said, look, y'all got to go overseas. Now you got to think, if you're in the reserve, you live in an everyday life, just like everybody else. And JT asked me, would I come speak to his battalion at Fort Stewart in Hinesville, Georgia? And mind you, I'm not going to say no. And then when I go in there, all I kept telling them is, you are one in a million. When people ask me how would I describe service, it's one in a million. Y'all are the ones that they told you, listen, this can happen to you. You can lose your life. You like, yeah, and you still signed your name. Like, you signed it. Like, yeah, okay. Whatever. So I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, not just for what you've done, but what you do. Because, like I said, sometimes you need to have a friend who was former military, which they don't call themselves former military. Once a serviceman, always a serviceman.
Yeah. No such thing as a former Marine.
Exactly. Please don't call my brother a former Marine. You're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
But I will say to them, make sure if somebody asks you who you are, where you serve, give them your life story.
Yeah.
You've earned that. Because most of us, I've been blessed enough to stand in front of a lot of people and tell my story a lot of times, whether it's in college and past my playing day. If somebody asks you, sir, if you don't mind, tell me about you, and talk as long as they'll listen, because you've earned at least that much. Because sometimes, one of my favorite movies is A Few Good Men, and I was in Jack Nicholson, and his character, when he said, "You want me on that wall, you need me on that wall," it's like the way he's telling them, "Listen, don't tell me you appreciate." I'm paraphrasing. Don't tell me you appreciate what I do, but then try to get mad in the manner in which I do it. It's the way he just for me. Like I said, I just want to say thank you to all of them, and like I said, if you know of one, go out of your way, knock on their door, do something nice to them, because we should celebrate them more than just one day out the year. But
exactly, this is my Uncle Harry, but I want to be sure and say, and I loved him very much, but I want to say about one of my best friends, Joe Williams of Denver, who served in Vietnam and had one of his eyes shut out, actually. One of the greatest people I've ever known in my life. I did talk radio with him for 30 years. I love him to death to this day. He didn't have much time. He didn't suffer fools at all, but he suffers. Maybe we had a great friendship, and I always call him up and say thank you for your service, because he paid a price for that. But Joe and many others out there, and for those people who don't know what this show is, we have some new viewers from Twitter. quite a few people tuning in the show from Twitter recently. I want to explain to them what this is because they're thinking, what is this all of a sudden? This is a show we do 4 nights a week. And this Thursday night is kind of family night. We call it Orange and Bluebloods for a reason, because we'd like to talk about things that mean a lot to us. And that includes Gator sports and college sports and SEC and things like this matter too. So I want to be sure and tell folks that. And by the way, you folks on Twitter, if you can, come on over here to where we are on YouTube, and you can comment in the comment windows. And if you have a good comment like Tommy Seal does there, good evening, Go Gators, salute to all veterans, we'll post it. So that's what's happening there. So anyway, I wanted to show you a couple other things before we go into our regular show tonight. A couple of things that need a good laugh always, naturally. Uh, but this is my idea of what confidence looks like when the Gators go up and win Clemson. This is what it looked like in the locker room right here. It makes you just want to sit down and have a stogie with this guy, right?
Listen, my favorite one is my favorite meme now is every time it's game day, you got old Albert. He got his head out the window, like somebody driving down the street. He got his head. Hey, that is a beautiful sight. I mean, from the socks, the shoes, to the
I don't even know where it came from. Somebody put it up.
That's nice.
I had to show it. So then, on that same note, my good friend, got a call from a friend this week whose brother is kind of a big shot in Nashville. They had a big meeting, luncheon there. And he called me and said, my brother went to this luncheon today, and there was a guest speaker. And so there was a lot of prominent Nashville people there. You know Nashville. And he said, he got up and he said, well, they tell me I only got 8 minutes to speak. I can't speak in 8 minutes. So I called my friend Buddy Martin to find out how to do that. It was Terry Bradshaw.
Listen. They don't. Let me tell you something, man. Listen, there are people in this life, right? My grandfather used to say. He said, "Look, he said you need 3 friends in this life. You need ones that hold you accountable, right? Them the ones that hold you accountable. You need the ones that like your spiritual partner, right? Yeah, and you need ones that just a fool. Like he is just there to just make you because he says, and you want to deal with the last one the most because sometimes you
they
need
got the
somebody.
Most wisdom.
Yeah, buddy, it's like this. A friend of mine said growing up, when him and his siblings used to get in trouble, when they used to get mad at each other, their parents used to make them eat ice cream.
Yeah,
and I said, why? He said, because it's real hard to be mad when you eat ice cream. Like it is extremely difficult because the ice cream was so good. And he said, once we figured this out, he said, do you know how much ice cream we ate growing up? It was ridiculous. And Terry Bradshaw is a person to me. Even if you've never met him, you feel like you know him. Because he seems like he's himself no matter where he is, no matter what he's doing. Yeah. And hey, man, to have a guy that make you laugh is let me call Terry. Let me call my friend buddy. So
as you know, I've had many days and nights with Terry, my good friend over the years. I'm not bragging. We just had to be very close. But one of the things I love about him is his sense of humor. And his sense of humor applies to him as well. He makes fun of himself. This is the picture that was posted today. This is an amazing picture of Terry Bradshaw. Now, if you look closely, he's doing what there?
He's fishing.
You see the fish?
Uh-huh.
You can't really see him. That's how big he is. And look at that look of disgust on his face.
Wherever he is, it looks beautiful out there.
It does. He's probably, who knows where he is. He could be all over.
And Terry Bradshaw is authentic. That's what he is. In a world full of people that want to be followers, he's definitely a leader. And look, hey man, you got to be proud of. Listen, you got to be proud of. Who knows? Now, hopefully, it didn't take him that much to get that out the water.
Yeah, I think you got to throw that one back. But looks like a sardine you put on the end of the hook. Just wanted to share that with you. Get a little laugh out of it tonight. It's a good night to have a night. And so a lot of people weighing in tonight talking about veterans. Glad to have you folks. Howard Lovering, Cindy Naismith, Michael Burton is always there, along with our regulars, and appreciate Marcus Martin from Pensacola. Some folks don't know this. This show's relatively new in this part of the country up here, and it's now getting out to where it's getting to Pensacola and different. It's hard to hear from Gators, especially in the North Florida area. And I would encourage you tell your friends if they are from, tune us in. Check us out. We have a pretty good sized following from down in North Central Florida, maybe even one or two of in Savannah, where Ben is. But anyway, we want to let you know we have a sort of a Northwest Florida bureau here. So Brendan is holding it fort down in Ocala. So quite a week. That's how it works around here. Tell your friends and neighbors we're here. I want to tell you about our good sponsor, if I can, just for a second. We'll be joined by Franz here in a little bit. I want to thank my friend down in Gainesville, Jeffrey Meldon Law. They're always doing stuff for the university. They're the official injury law firm for the University of Florida. They do much more. They support all the sports. They give away tickets. They support shows like this and have been supporting the show for a long time. Jeffrey Meldon, I was lucky enough to go to his Scholar Athlete Night a couple of weeks ago in Gainesville. What a night that was. We really enjoyed it. Really impressed. And Jeffrey's quite the guy. He's quite the guy. I'm very fond of Jeffrey. So, by the way, he also practices law if you're in the mood for that. And if you have a lawsuit out there that you're not happy how it's moving and you want help, for it doesn't cost you a nickel, call Meldon Law and ask them if they can help you, or if you don't agree with the opinion of the person who's a lawyer. Meldon Law now is there to serve you. 4 locations: Ocala, Williston, Gainesville, and Lake City. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Well, Ben, what's your take on the success of the baseball team? Kevin O'Sullivan turns out to have the last laugh on a lot of us. Obviously,
Yeah.
he has had a wonderful postseason and very happy. He's never faced Clemson, his old team. He spent 9 seasons there as assistant coach from 1999 to 2007 under Jack Leggett. And O'Sullivan and the current Clemson head coach, Eric Bakich, worked together as assistant coaches under Leggett during the 2002 campaign. So it looks like there's going to be looks like they got their money's worth out of this season. One piece of news that's not as popular, apparently this made the national news. They lost a player, a freshman infielder named John Martinez, opted to leave the program prior to the conclusion of their first season, which is interesting when you quit before you started. Anyway, so he's now leaving, and while his teammates are possibly playing for a national title. That's the world we live in, though, Ben. That's what's going to be happening.
Yep. I will say this about Coach O'Sullivan. I think sometimes, buddy, when we get to talking about, legacies at the University of Florida, we get to talking about, obviously it's easy to talk about Coach Spurrier. It's easy. When you talk about what he's did and Coach Urban Meyer and what he's did, right? But I think that, even basketball, too. When you think about what Coach did, it's just what Coach O'Sullivan does is sometimes we so easy to remember. It's so easy to forget what he's meant to Florida since he's been here. He is about as decorated as a coach in baseball as it gets. There isn't a college baseball player that does not want to be coached under him or play for him, no matter what school they go to. And I get it. Sometimes the greatest coaches show their best coaching when you don't have a great regular season. See, with him, we wanted the regular season to match the postseason because let's face it, like a lot of us, we was very, very shocked to get in. Mm-hmm. But Coach Sullivan said, look, sometimes, right, my pedigree and my team is good enough to get in any tournament. Now, they didn't have the regular season that we wanted. But, buddy, when you talk about, if we're talking about some of the greatest coaches ever come through Florida, he's on the list. Most definitely with what he's done. And we talk about Coach Sullivan like he's not currently doing it right now. No, he's doing it right now. There isn't a more respected head coach of college baseball. Every college baseball coach respects Coach Sullivan and what he does and what he means to the sport. Not just to the University of Florida and not just to the SEC and not just to the NCAA, but to baseball. To baseball. So and every time, listen, I've been blessed enough to talk to a bunch of his players, Cags, Ryan, guys last year. They all say the same thing. They say you cannot buy what he teaches. To have that man, when he says I need to do something, I need to do it. There is no, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. There is no, oh, he's past his prime. There is no, oh, he doesn't understand today's athlete. No, he was doing it pre-social media, pre-transfer portal, pre-NIL, and he has staying power. So for me, buddy, we've been blessed. I mean, Coach O'Sullivan, Coach Mary Wise. Look how great these coaches are. Florida has. So when you talk about the legacy of Florida, it starts with the coach. And when you talk about baseball, every player that I talk to, I ask them about the team. They talk about the team. I talk about the team chemistry. I talk about the pitching. I talk about the offense. And then I say, okay, what is it like to get coached on the coach? And they all just take a second and go, man, I'm so blessed because they say, because as great as he is as a coach, and he is, he's an even better man because this holistic thing, we get so caught up in the player. When he talks to the person who just happens to be a player under him, that is the Coach Spurrier effect. As much as I used to think Coach Spurrier was talking to me, the player, he goes, no, I'm talking to you, the person. You just happen to be a player. So if I can resonate with you as a person, of course you're gonna listen to me as a coach. I'm just happy for him because we forget so quick about coach. Let me say that we don't forget. We're spoiled. Coach Sullivan has spoiled us. That's how great.
That's true.
How good.
That is true.
How great he's been. And like I said, buddy, I get it. The hardest thing to have is the legacy because usually, like you say, buddy, either you are the guy or you coming behind the guy. Well, Coach Sullivan's the guy. And just like, and I'm not breaking no news, but just like when Coach Spurrier left, or Coach Meyer left, we don't realize how blessed you are as a school to have these type of Coach Sullivan. I hope he signs a lifetime. I hope he's doing. I hope he's like Bobby Bowden in Florida. Just they got to listen. He's 80 years old and his wife's all right. We got to go. What? Listen, there's nothing. The greatest thing about sport, buddy, is to say, if for somebody to say, listen, daddy, mama, there's nothing else you can do. You've done it all. Listen, so for me, I'm just happy for him. And like I said, buddy, even though Nick Saban is gone, right?
No.
He did his best coaching jobs when he didn't have a great quarterback or a Heisman hopeful. He still walked away telling that team from Athens, y'all might have beaten me in the national championship when I was down both of my starting receivers, but every time I met y'all in Atlanta for the SEC championship, who was the winner? Even going out. So for me, Coach Sullivan, keep doing what you're doing, love what you're doing, and love the fact that because buddy, could you imagine if Coach Sullivan was at a school like in Athens or that school over there on the Panhandle? We would hate him because he's so good. But shout out to the softball team as well. I think
I want to get into that for a second. I got to tell you, this is the night when we can gush a little bit and confess our loyalties where they are because it's Orange and Blueblood Thursday. We talk about this a lot all week, and the softball team's performance was beyond fantastic because not only did it give us great entertainment value, it was nerve-wracking for one thing. They almost did it. And some of the women who played on that team, I will never forget Skylar Wallace. She was incredible. And not only did she hit 2 home runs, not one game, but her leadership, she took a shot down there at second base. That woman ran into her who was 40 pounds. I didn't know she was going to get up. I mean, she took a shot there, got up and played. And her speech after the game, I wish I could play it. I haven't been able to download it. Was just something special. If you've not heard it, it's everywhere. I think it's on the NCAA site.com, and I couldn't download it. But when she says, the greatest thing I ever did was become a Florida Gator. Ben, that's got to give you a little tingle right there.
It did. Skylar, once again, buddy, some of us, like Skylar, we understand what we have while we have it. We understand how precious, how unique, how rare it is to be a Florida Gator. We understand that, man, you know what type of people have walked through these walls and been through this school and played these sports, and to know that you get to leave a legacy. See, we think that you got to win. At Florida, fans will make you feel as though you won a national championship by the love they give you. See, and we feel disappointed when we don't deliver that national championship to both our the players, the coaches, the staff, and the fans. But Shannon Sharp said it the best, and I do agree. He said the greatest thing you can get from the fans is appreciation. And when you go to the University of Florida, it's a different level of appreciation. I mean, we fight with each other, but we fight better for each other. We will fight for each other when it comes to people who don't understand just how incredible this, community is. And Skylar, look, you lost to Oklahoma. They're going for the fourth. They are out. Oklahoma is out of this world. And you brought the best out of them. It wasn't like, I go back to it, and for me, Florida softball, once again, great teams, great players, top to bottom. And listen, I am very, very jealous of them to have made it as far as they made it. Not in a sense that I wish I was them, but I know how precious them moments are. So Scott, when Skylar said the greatest thing I ever did was become a Florida Gator, and listen, Coach didn't have to make us say that. Coach didn't tell her to say that.
No, that was her own words. She said it through tears. She was crying when she said it.
She let it because it's real. And listen, it took me 4 years at the University of Florida to finally realize, man, like, it takes when you doing something, when Buddy Martin is writing, and he's just writing because he loves it, then he's up for an award. And you go, who won? No. He says, who's in the category? And they give you the other candidates. They give you the other, And then you go, oh man, that's incredible. But then you win it. You go, wait. I won? Yeah. See, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than that you won it. It's who else was in it. You like, wait a minute. Because
that is true.
Everybody's deserving, right? But the thing was, when the people who you won the award over show up, because they want to meet you like you want to meet them. That Skylar is that type of player. Young girls all over the country get to see how exciting softball is.
Well, you talk to Allie. She has 4 girls, and they adored her, and they adored, of course, the gymnasts as well. But these little girls, they're lit up. I mean, Skylar Wallace seemed like she got more people excited, and at the same time, the Caitlin Clark thing is going on. Make of it what you will. The fact is, Caitlin Clark's drawing thousands and thousands of eyeballs. What she's doing, she brought to women, and now you got this team who plays their hearts out and almost pulls it off. And Skylar, I want Skylar to have it so bad. I wish I'd have known her. I'm sorry she's leaving, but what a mark she's leaving on the University of Florida. One that she can be proud of, and everybody else can be as well.
Listen, buddy, when you think about the guys always get the fanfare, right? The Danny Warfels, the Steve Spurriers, the Tim Tebows, the Rex Grossmans, the Joakim Noahs, the Al Horfords. The women that have come through the University of Florida have been iconic. You cannot get more iconic than Abby Wambach. What? You just can't. My daughter, who plays soccer right now, she plays in Orlando. Right? She plays
for a travel team.
But she played for Lake Nona, and now she also plays for the ODP, the Olympic Development Program. She also, you know who sponsored that? She walks with. I had to walk in. This is 2023. I walk in. We're in Auburndale, and we're doing like a clinic, like a practice to see who's gonna make the squad. I walk in. Who's up on the wall sponsors the whole thing? Abby Wambach. I'm asking my daughter, you know what it is? You gonna know? I said, that is Abby Wambach. I said, that is one of the greatest women's soccer players ever. And she went to Florida. My daughter like, what? Yes. She went to Florida. Yeah. And so Skylar, to me, has the Abby Wambach effect.
I agree.
She has, because she plays the game the right way. Listen, she's ferocious as a competitor, but she plays the game the right way, and she understands what she means to the sports, understands what she means to the young guys. So Skylar, shout out to you. You still walking away a champion, regardless of what happens or don't happen. I guarantee you, them women over there, Oklahoma students are saying that girl right there, that lady right there. Oh my God, she is out of it. So I'm happy that she wrapped the orange and blue shield. Listen, Georgia native, by the way, another Georgia native coming down to
All
Florida.
right, that's good. We're all right with that. We're all right with that.
You know?
I married one. My mama was a Georgia native too. So there you
See?
go. But the thing about it is, like, we've had such a conversation this week about the women and what they have taught us, and that is that they have taught us and taught that the fans don't just care about the flashy guys with all the NIL deals. They care about seeing committed players who give all they got who form a bond as a team, who play as a team. You talk about a team, now that's a team, and I think we're learning that this is what people want. It's not just a guy with all the 5 stars and all the jingle
Of
and all that sort of
course.
stuff. We love seeing a team like that, and we love being able to see players like Skylar Wallace for sure. So, all right, so
We
let's
did
bring
everything,
this.
we did everything school for a reason, right? Like they call
Yeah,
it an everything school,
yeah.
which means, Scott Strickland. Listen, Scott Strickland. Listen, football season. He goes, all right. Listen, after January, well, he put his running shoes on because he's everywhere. Literally,
Yeah.
he is everywhere from
Yeah.
track to baseball to softball to swimming to gymnastics to golf.
Yeah.
I mean. Shout out to the our Lady Gator softball team. They will never ever know what they do for Florida. They can't even fathom it. I mean, because like I say, buddy, it is my unique pleasure to be able to sit down with as many current, future, and former Florida Gators there is. And every time I sit down with a softball player, I just ask them, "What is it like?" Because just watching it, it seems euphoric.
It's a great scene, and then we're going to bring Franz in, where after the game is over, those girls are just their heart wrench. I mean, what a way to lose that game and on a home run and extras in 8th inning, and to lose it comes so close. They're out there after the game, they're signing autographs to all those little girls who are there to see them play. They're just smiling.
They help you, and they help you. I'm getting showered with love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's what I had to understand. I go, yeah, but we lost. They go, no. They came to see you. What do you mean?
Yeah,
After the game, they came. When Skylar walks up to them, right, and she's just signing autographs, because let's call it what it is. When it comes to sports, we're very fickle. Post-game press conferences, you can tell who won or lost just by the tone, just by the tenor, just by how they, their approach. When you play college athletics, especially when you play for Florida, especially when you represent all women across the world. When you talk about what you do, like a Skylar, Wallace, every time after the game, they had the fans, especially those young girls, help them understand this is what you mean to it. I know you. Listen, I know you lost. We didn't come to see you lose. We came to see you. And as long as you come up to me after the game and you sign that autograph, like, to me, y'all didn't understand this. But if we lose a game, yes, I finally got to do interviews my senior year. We lose a game, Franz still asking me a question. But he still gonna ask me a question, right? Now, in my mind, I want one question so I can get the hell out. I just want to go. But to me, that's when I learned how to be a pro before I became one. When a coach said, you still got to stand up there and talk to him. Why?
Take the bullets. Yeah, take the bullets. Yeah, for sure.
Because they said, look, because they only gonna let certain players get up there. I say, yeah, but Mr. Franz Beard gonna ask me a real smart question. I got to give him a smart answer. He said, no, you just got to answer them. So for me, shout out to Skylar Wallace. She will be missed. And like I said, we know how to recruit in Florida. We get some of the greatest to ever do it. So shout out to her. She don't got nothing to hang her head on. Right. She left it all out there.
But let me say thank you to our sponsor, and we'll bring Franz in here, and he's got some thoughts about it. Very good column. Playing hurt. He's got his. They don't call it a sling anymore. I'll let him explain it to you. But I want to tell you about our friends who support this program, and you all know them. They sponsor us regularly. And Titan MRI is one of them. If you need an MRI in the North Central Florida area, this is a good deal for you to know about. This company is open, been around for a while. They sponsored this program for a while, and they currently will set you a date for your MRI at a time when you want to do it. Like they'll take you after hours, night, weekends, whatever. They'll make it easier for you to come and get your MRI. Nobody likes to go get an MRI, but you have to have them. And the other thing is that if you don't have insurance, they'll take cash or card, and they're not that expensive, believe it or not. So there they have these wonderful. What was that noise? Oh, somebody talking there. Anyway, so the bottom line is they have it all for you. They have special equipment there, so it'll cut down on your claustrophobia. They do it right. The customer experience is important to them. Check them out, TitanMRI.com. Good evening there, Mr. Slingblade.
Goodness. You're talking about my shoulder immobilization device.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Where I come from, it's known as a sling, but it's officially known as a shoulder immobilization device.
Yeah. Well, Ben told you about fighting those Georgia fans, getting into fist fights with them. Take off your glasses and show us your eye.
Oh, that's the good one.
Yeah, see that? The other one. There you go. And you say, well, the other guy. I hope the bulldog guy looks worse than that. I hope.
Well, here's the thing.
How the hell you fight somebody who already look beat up when you walk up to him? What you gonna do to him?
Well, here's the deal: is never try to headbutt a tile floor. You will lose.
Well, we're real sorry about your injury. We're glad that you were able to write something today. We've been missing you. We're glad we were able to talk to you. And I know you want to get in here and weigh in on this softball team that you covered all year and spent a lot of time with. And we've been sitting here and showering them with love. Ben and I have. And I just mentioned Skylar Wallace, but there's so many others. And go ahead and get your take on what a week it was and how much we appreciate what Tim Walton's team did, what he did.
Well, Tim Walton is an elite coach, not just a good coach. He is elite. I wrote today, it reminds me a lot of when I was in Wilmington many, many years ago, more than 50 years ago. We had two legends in town, Leon Brogdon, who won 55 state championships in 3 sports across his career, and Spike Corbin, who was over at the predominantly black school most of his career, and he won nearly as many. And Mr. Brogdon had, Coach Brogdon had Sonny Jurgensen and Roman Gabriel, and Coach Corbin had a guy named Meadowlark Lemon, who was pretty good. And he also was a mentor to Althea Gibson, the first black woman to ever win Wimbledon. Two great human beings. They both took the approach that it's the person that counts. We coach up the person. We teach them the fundamentals of the sport, but we coach up the person. And if we coach up the person right, then the fundamentals we teach them will pay off in the field because they'll give us everything they've got. They'll be the best that they can be. This is what Tim Walton does with these young women. They come to him, girls. They leave young women ready to face the world and be as good as they can possibly be. I have no doubt in my mind that Skylar Wallace, no matter what she chooses in her career, I hope she decides to be a coach because I think she has so much to give to young girls growing up. You see her, as Ben pointed out, after the games, hugging these little girls, encouraging these little girls, signing their autographs. But you see that from all the girls on this team. And that's part of why Tim Walton is as good as he is, because he builds them all up, and lets them know, look, you're here because when you were a kid, somebody was your hero and they inspired you. Now you are somebody's hero. You have to be an inspiration to them, and you have to keep them being inspired and motivated. Tim does as good a job of doing that as any coach in any sport in this country. Guys, can I just mention for a second? You think about it, the fact on this athletic staff, you have Tim Walton, you have Kevin O'Sullivan, Mouse Holloway, who may be the best coach in any sport in the entire country. I don't care what the sport is, he may be the very best coach of all. You know, Anthony Nesty coaching swimming, Jenny Rowland coaching gymnastics. Look at the coaches that we have at this university who are truly elite. And it is absolutely amazing what's going on. And I think that things are going to get really intense with Texas and Oklahoma joining the league, but it's going to make the league better, and it's going to make our elite coaches, it's going to make kids want to come play for our elite coaches. I think Billy Napier, after this year, is going to have the kind of year that's going to lead to people saying he is also is an elite coach. I think that's on the horizon right there. I think J.C. Deacon, who's won a golf national championship, another one who this school is really blessed with great coaches, and
I think we'll agree with that. I think I'll also say that's one of the strengths. It's why it's unfortunate they've had to have so many head coaches in football because that's an embarrassment. Loren, I know that's something we've talked about, and we're hoping that will be settled in this year. Good evening to you, Loren. We're talking about the softball.
How you guys doing?
All right, talking about the softball team, the coach, the quality of coaching. Franz reading off a list of great coaches. I know you know some of them. You've had relationships with some of those coaches. I think Florida's been very lucky. They got their basketball coach now. They might have their football coach. That's what we're waiting to see, Loren.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at it from everything from those that are truly ingrained into the program when it comes to Billy Napier is like I said, as much as we've been on him for different things, everybody around him, everybody that's connected to him, the players, they all believe in him. And I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, I know we criticize and I'm as hard on him, as anybody for Saturdays. But as I said before, he's got the Monday through the Friday in the off season. He's winning that. I mean, with the Gator Made program, and I asked Austin Barber personally, I said, has he truly improved the player experience at Florida? He said, absolutely. I mean, it's not even close. The relationships he has with the players and things like that. And you would hope, and I think that's one of the things that frustrates people is a lot of times those things equate to wins immediately. And unfortunately, it just hasn't happened the first 2 years. So, I think that, this is the year where a lot of people, I think lately are starting to become a little bullish on Florida. I've seen a few pundits kind of say, hey, don't forget about Florida. Florida should be vastly improved and those kind of things. So, like you said, I think we've got our basketball coach. I think we got our coaches in pretty much every sport right now. And, because football is in the spotlight, the jury's still out on Billy Napier. But if you talk to people that are connected and they see a lot more than we do and they're in the trenches with them, they think this is the guy. So, I mean, if that holds true, then I think ultimately we'll have the guy for the football team as well.
All right, a couple things on football. We'll start out with Ben on this. Pro Football Focus ranked the Gator offensive line among the top 10 in the country. Now, just a few weeks ago, we were criticizing the offensive line. I think there have been some changes. I know Franz keeps up with this too, but that is a good sign, I think, especially with Oklahoma and Texas coming in there. The one place I think they can win in the SEC is against those teams in the trenches. How important has that been, and do you think that's accurate? Are they a top 10 offensive line?
I mean, I definitely think they got a shot too, B. I mean, you look at what Florida brings back, what they was able to do in the transfer portal. They was able to go out there and get some coveted guys in the portal. They got a shot too, B, because you got the leading rusher returning in the SEC coming back. You get a Trayon Webb who's going to be a year number 2 in his offense, and you get an offensive line that complements their running styles. The thing about Florida is, as Loren just said, when you look at this offseason, whew, they making noise. They making a lot of noise, even with the offensive line. When the best teams got the best O-line. You look at the trenches, when you got 5 guys who play well as a unit, meaning my center don't got to be my best offensive lineman. He got to be my smartest. My two tackles, they got to be like doors. The only way you can get sacks is if you open up the door. My 2 guards, they got to be people movers. They got to be people that do not like D tackles. And I think when you look at Florida's offensive line, when you look at what they've been able to do, they've been solid, not rock solid. You got to have a rock solid offensive line because you need to have number 15 there for all the games next year. So I think they got a shot. And plus, I give Pro Football Focus a lot of credit. I mean, they go watch film. They ain't got no horse in this race. They know what they're looking at. But I look at the Cole Kublets of the world who former offensive lineman, at Auburn, who says, I like what I see from this Florida offensive line. Can they be top 10? For Florida to do what they're trying to do, they're going to have to be. They're going to have to be a top 10 unit because if my O-line is the top 10 unit, the other units don't have to be. Running game don't have to be a top 10 unit.
Yeah. Franz, you agree? Top 10, Franz? Yeah.
I think we'll know when the season begins, but they've upgraded the tackles, that was the spot last year. If Austin Barber comes back as healthy as he hopes to be, here's the cool thing about it is you could plug him in at right tackle because I think Devin Manuel is going to be the left tackle. I saw what I saw of him in the spring. I think he's plugged in, and I think he's the guy. He has that tremendous. He's like an 84-inch wingspan at left tackle. That's what you want. I think Austin moves back over to right tackle, which is where he was when he was a sophomore, when he was really much better. I think he moves in, and I think that moves Crenshaw Dixon into right guard, a place where he's also played and started a number of games. Now all of a sudden you got Najee Harris on the left side. You've got Slaughter at center. You've got Crenshaw Dixon at right guard. Now all of a sudden you've got an offensive line with our guys at the tackles like that. I just like like the possibilities there, and I don't think that Damian George is through. I think this summer is going to be his summer of reckoning. If he puts in the work that he has to get as mobile as he needs to be a guard who can move out and get in front of people, then all of a sudden that offensive line has serious depth. It's got size. It's got a lot of things going for him. Austin Barber and Devin Manuel on the tackles. Trent Slaughter. I mean, Mr. Jake Slaughter in the middle. Jake Slaughter I think is going to be the most underrated lineman in the SEC this year. Everybody I've talked to said the guy is like, buddy, you remember the days back when Howard Cosell was on and Don Meredith what was his nickname for him? Univac. He's a computer,
Franz, that's a long time before my time. That's back when you were. I wasn't around then.
But Jake Slaughter kind of reminds me of when Dandy Don would call Howard Univac. He's just one of these really cerebral guys. I mean, even Graham Mertz says, we're not quite where we can finish each other's sentences, but it's really close. I mean, you're talking about 2 bright guys.
Yeah.
I just thought I like the possibilities here. Now they got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And that's the critical element. Can you stay healthy?
That's going to be it because of the schedule you're playing. You're going to get banged up. People have no idea what it's going to be like playing the big dogs every Saturday. What I call a residual impact. Where you lads up. That's like a fighter who goes and fights the top 10 fighters out there and gets crap beat out of them. At the end of the season, some teams aren't going to be standing. Let me bring this up. This is a very important point for us to close this session out on. We talk about how good this team might be. We talk about the quarterback room. We talk about the running back situation. The defense improved. Today I heard a guy say something that I hadn't thought of, which might be one of the biggest factors in the success of this team. And we've had him on this show, I think, 3 times. I heard him on another show today. I heard Derek Wingo say, this is year 3 for us. We got it figured out. We know what we're supposed to do. We're settled on our team. And we play 7 games in the swamp. 7. He said, you think that doesn't make a difference for us to go out there with 90,000 and play? That's a great point. That is going to be a little bit of an edge there for this team. It might be, Loren, what they need.
Well, that's why I'm calling the upset against Ole Miss. Is the swamp is going to play a role in this year. I mean, it has to. And, you got people that'll be excited. I think they're going to win enough games in the top half to keep the so-sos interested. And, they were a better football team at home. I mean, they just are. They were a better football team at home the last 2 years under Billy Napier. And, they got some humps to get over, but, with an improved offensive line and some of the other things, the fact that you do play those 7 home games and they're in the swamp and it should be rocking. And, you got some excitement because, they got some dudes now. You talk about, the Graham Mertz and everybody's going to be there. They want to see when DJ Lagway rolls out for whatever they have for him. You got Eugene Wilson III. You got all these guys that people want to see. Montrell Johnson, Trayon Webbs, just you name it. And Elijah Badger. Just the people that are going to put people in the seats. And then, like I said, I think they're going to thump some people upside the head. So, I agree with Franz. I think Jake Slaughter is a huge upgrade at center. And, I think they're going to be fun to watch. And the swamp is going to play a role. And you talk about home games with Miami, UCF, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. It's never been easy to get a win here. And I think that's one of the things that they're going to hang their hats on. And the biggest thing is the fact that Wingo said it means that the team has acknowledged it and will take pride in defending home turf. And that's what you want is when you come in here, you ain't whooping our butts on our front porch. So, absolutely.
Yeah,
he just brought up a very important point, too. Derek Wingo is Jake Slaughter, Graham Mertz. We're talking about guys that are Austin Barber, too. We're talking about guys that really, really strong in the brain power department. Joey Slackman, another one like that. We're talking about this is a team that has a lot of very smart guys. And you combine smarts with experience, which Billy has said this is the most experienced team he's had since he's been here. This is the most experienced team Florida's had since 2020. And you look at all this, add it all together, the positives lend to a feeling that the Gators could be a whole lot better than anybody's going to predict them to be.
Yeah. And you bring up, Ben, the offensive line and the running backs. The running back room, they're 4 deep back there now. This freshman, I'm losing his name, was in the Orange and Blue game, was so impressive. Remember?
Jaden Vaughn.
Yeah, he was really impressive. And, when you talk about a guy like that, you can put in there in the third quarter when the other team beat up a little bit, and got some scoops and some power. This guy weighs 238 pounds, and he can run like a deer. You think, okay, now how does this change everything? Well, we know football. We know that a really good ground game goes with a long way up on your defense. If you can keep that ball away, Ben, from that other team, and you can pound the ground and pound when it counts in the fourth quarter, means everything in the world, doesn't it?
Of course it does. People be thinking that what goes on in Florida now didn't get started well when Coach Spurrier got there. When I got to Florida, Ernest Graham was the starter, Robert Gillespie was the backup, Cedric Faison was number 3, Deshaun Wynn was number 4, and all those guys. And you know who I didn't mention? I didn't mention Willie Green. Willie Green, the same Willie Green who's from Kissimmee, who got his jersey retired while he was in high school. That's how great he was, and he barely got some burns. So when you talk about the University of Florida and just being able to shed a rock, if Ernest Graham got the rock every play, he could have had 1,700 yards rushing. But he was cheering when Rob G came in there. And then when Rob G said, I got this young man from Fletcher High School down there in Jacksonville Beach, 5-star running back, by the way. Theatric face on, call him C4. I got this kid from Cincinnati named Deshaun Wynn from the Nasty Natty, as he used to call it. So, yeah, exactly. So when you start thinking about what makes a team great, it's you have to learn to shed a rock. That is not something you come into college wanting to do. But think about it. Ernest Graham said, "Look, man, this guy's just as good. This guy from Mississippi, he's just as good. This guy from Jacksonville is just as good." Now the starter gonna get the bulk of the carry, so we know Montreal gonna get the bulk of the carry. Then you talk about Trayon, then you talk about the other two youngest. But I think what it does is you want fresh bodies. And what does it matter if I got 1,800 yards rushing if I can barely move week 9, week 10? I want to be fresh, and it's about making the most of every opportunity I have. So I just know that with so much talk about the transfer portal and people don't want to compete because they don't get as much playing time, I guarantee you, Coach Nate Brain, he don't got no reason to make no promises to nobody. Hey, man, you come to Florida, you get a chance to compete and play, period. You want to compete? Yes, Montreal is that good. He was that good in Louisiana. I told him, come on over to the SEC, right? Remember that guy that came over with him, that guard that came over with him? He got a brick, right? He came from Louisiana. Second round pick to Buffalo. All rookie team. So for me, I came to Florida understanding that, look, if I am good enough, I got a shot. But just because you're good, my nephew is 17 years old. He's gonna be a senior in high school. And I said, if you are the best every time you step out there, the competition ain't that good. I don't care. The competition ain't that good. You got to go out there to where you good, and then you got to learn how to be great. Because like I said, I mean, I walk on campus, there go Thaddeus Bullock, there go Derek Chambers, there go Alex Brown, there go Gerard Warren, there go Jesse Palmer, there go Mike Pearson. So Mike Pearson played left tackle. And the only reason why Max Starks played is because Mike Pearson moved on. There go Kenyatta Walker. I'm sorry, Mike Pearson was the right tackle. Kenyatta Walker was the left tackle. Go on first round pick. So the talent at Florida is just getting back to what they used to tell us. They used to say first, second, third, and fourth team should be starters. You should be good enough to start no matter what team you was on. And I think that's what Florida is building. And I'm just looking forward to it only because what Derek Wingo can't say, what I can say for him, I am sick of this. I am sick of having to prove my worth. I go to Florida, man. I go to Florida. Derek Wingo, when I interviewed him, he said, I went to NASA. I said, what? He said, I went to NASA through Gator. He said, do you know what they was asking me? I like, what? Hey, man, y'all going to be good this year? I said, wait a minute. Astronauts? Yeah. They want to talk to me about Florida. Think about that. People that go to the moon want to know what's going on in Gainesville. That's how big it is. So for me, I want it for them in a different type way because I was spoiled when I got to Florida because I had Coach Spurrier, winning the SEC championships, going to Orange Bowls and Sugar Bowls. But I just know that. But Ron Zook was a guy that helped us all, But as you mentioned, Franz earlier, he had that Tim Walton approach. I'm gonna talk to the person. I'm gonna develop the person through football, and not the other way around. Because Coach Spurrier, man, he had that sixth sense. I mean, he just understood it. So for me, Billy Napier, because he's gone through it, when he does win, I do kind of want him to, talk a little trash a little bit, because he the one said scared money don't make money. So he put the bullseye on him.
Yeah.
He said it.
He did.
Now in the off season, he can put on a clip. He can hold a coach suspended. But as we all know, it don't mean a thing if you can't win on Saturday. You got to win on Saturday. And like I said, right now we'll see what happens. But I do like Derek Wingo, who understands he's gonna take more of a huge role.
Yeah.
Saying, hey man,
I like that.
Graham, they're hungry, and they're hungry group and a ready group. Derek Wingo said we're gonna show y'all. Hey man, we'll see what happens because we got a team down south that I don't know what I don't know what matrix they living in, but in their mind, they the creme de la creme. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, that's very good. I wanted to say to wrap it up here, talking to Chris Doring this week on Wednesday night, he talked about that last Friday and Saturday. Is it Friday, Saturday, friends, or Saturday and Sunday? That he was so proud of his university. He said he can't remember the last time he was as buzzed as he was after his softball and baseball team. He said, really, really got me all jacked up. And I think a lot of Gators, and Alex said the same thing, a lot of Gators, people who kind of bleed orange and blue, like on this show on Thursday nights, it's Orange and BlueBlod Thursday, it meant a little more to us in some regards. I just want to ask you, of the things that happened, there were many great performances by both softball and baseball this weekend. What was the most interesting or the most rewarding for you as a Gator to see, and what were you proudest of? Let's start with Loren.
I think it was just the way that the softball team played as a unit. We all know about the Skylar Wallaces, and Skylar's unbelievable. Can affect the game. I mean, literally a 5-tool player. But then you talk about Katie Kistler hitting a moonshot, still the longest ball that was hit for the tournament to get the 1-0 win against Oklahoma State. And just, I mentioned it in the article, just that great senior class with Skylar, Katie Kistler, Avery Gales, Emily Wilkie, just that whole class, Bailey Goddard, and even Mackenzie Wooten, who came in for Virginia and kind of just moved right into that culture. And I think that's really what stuck out with me is just the leadership that team showed to such a young group to make that run. So,
Right.
I mean, that just shows the character of just not those girls, but what we like to see in all our Gator teams. And,
Yeah.
That's what stood out to me.
Yeah, I think Franz also gave us a pause to chance to cause and say, you know what? We love this concept of being a team. And the women have showed it better than the men and maybe taught us something. Of all those great moments, what was your favorite, Franz?
Bouncing back from the loss to Texas, they could have they could have said, okay, it's over. We're gonna have we just got kicked by Texas. We've got
Run rule.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama, we got to play, and if we win that, we're gonna have to play freaking Oklahoma. They could have looked at this as a monumental task and said, well, we'll go out there and play. But they went out there and said, we're going to go out there and compete. We're as good as they are. I thought that the way they showed up against Alabama, the way they again showed up the next night against Oklahoma, showed that this is a team that wasn't going to just show up. They were going to show up and say, okay, we're going to look you eye to eye. We're going to go out there and we're going to bust our butts, and it's going to be hell to pay to beat us. And there's something to be said about that, guys. When teams face real adversity like that, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of like you go to 1996. Florida loses to FSU. The bubble is burst. They've lost a ball game. They've got to play Alabama the next week in the SEC championship, and then they're going to have to play Florida State again. Greatness stands up and says, "I may be down, but you're going to have to keep hitting me over and over again." Remember that scene, Buddy, in Cool Hand Luke? Luke just won't go down, and finally George Kennedy just throws him over his shoulder and walks off with him because he wouldn't quit, and there's no quit in this Tim Walton team, and that just impressed me. But
Yep.
honorable mention to Kevin O'Sullivan, who got his team to finally, the young kids finally came together and got it done.
Yeah. I loved how Brandon Neely came in there and Steely Cajones came in a situation where he had no right to do what he did. He took command of the game, went right at them, struck out a career high 11, and they won that game. What a performance. But Ben, take us home with your thoughts. What was your favorite time, your favorite thing during this week?
Florida broke the streak. Oklahoma, when you watch those girls play, they sometimes they look unbeatable. Like you like, oh my God. That 20 game NCAA tournament streak, they got broke. They got beat 9-3.
Yeah.
I just remember them showing Oklahoma they faces. They saying, wait a minute. Because remember, right? We think that being welcome to a new conference got to happen in the conference. No, we could welcome you before you get here. I know y'all coming over. Y'all gonna have to deal with. See, everybody thought, man, y'all got to deal with Oklahoma. Florida said, no, they got to deal with us. Yeah, we went on. We lost to them. But sometimes you got to show somebody who ain't never bled, they can bleed now. And for me, Florida is a dangerous team for that reason. Oklahoma, you know about Oklahoma nationally. They softball team. Now everybody knows about Florida softball nationally because they did what nobody else could do, right? So I was just proud of Florida and what Franz said. Just no quit in them because, like I said, sometimes when you go up on a team like Oklahoma, you bring out something different in them, and you lost in a way that's heartbreaking. But when you in that locker room, it shouldn't have been. Coach Walsh should have said, "Man, lift your head up, man. You know what we just did? We ahead of schedule. I don't care what no one says. They're gonna. No one saw us outside of us doing what we just did to the team we did it to, and coming back from a loss against Texas to do what you did against Oklahoma. So I'm just super duper proud of how Florida softball plays. They're exciting to watch. Skylar Wallace is. I mean, my goodness, what can't she do? What can't she do? But like I said, to snap a streak like Oklahoma, no matter what, that kind of stuff meant something to them. Yes, they probably going. We'll see what happens with them in Texas. I know they up one game, but I just know that for me,
5-3 now, bottom of the fifth. Oklahoma's ahead.
Oh, well, but my thing is this though: when you are Florida softball, and that immovable object is staring you in the face, and you push it back, they like, wait a minute, did we just against? Mm-hmm. So shout out to him. I'm super duper happy for him. We were talking about Coach O'Sullivan before you guys came on. Coach O'Sullivan find his moment is letting people know y'all must have forgot. Do y'all know who I am? Like for real, like do y'all know who I am? When I walk in the room with baseball coaches, everybody stands up till I sit down because I've earned that. What are we talking about? But we didn't have the best regular season, but the most dangerous team is the one that barely got in, baby. Getting in is getting in. And as you can see, orange and blue versus orange and purple, or purple and orange, is on deck this weekend. We will see who it is.
All right.
I like the Gators' chances against Clemson. And don't forget, folks, there is a P in Clemson.
Yeah, sure.
When you go in South Carolina and you say, I went to Clemson University, they say, are you from up north or something? It's Clemson, buddy. It's Clemson.
Okay.
There's a P in there.
All right.
Shout out to Deshaun Wynn, Reading High School. His head coach, Kenny Minor. That's my guy.
That's how you know I got a little coaching when I was at Florida. I said, you from Cincinnati? He would always say, I'm from the nasty natty. And he
Reading High School in Cincinnati. His high school coach is like Coach Spurrier in Ohio, Ken Minor. He did a lot for a lot of guys up there. Good dude, man.
You guys did a lot for us tonight. Great job by everybody tonight. Thank you for having a really good Orange BlueBlod Thursday. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week, and take care, guys. Thanks.
Hey, and Monday, don't be surprised if we aren't celebrating a national championship for the Florida women's track team. Grace Stark is already setting it going for the women's track team. She already blew by everybody on the hurdles, and that 4x.
Yeah. Think we lost you, Francis. We'll be sure and watch it. All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate
All right,
you.
guys.
Take care. Good night. All right, Franz, we're done. Let's say we're missing. All right. Thank you, folks. Thanks for listening to watch. I'm going to tell you about our friends at Red Star Medical Research. help make this program possible. And we appreciate their participation as a sponsor and also as a stakeholder in Ocala, where they do so many wonderful things. If you're not familiar with them, you check them out, go to redstar.net. They want you to understand the importance of clinical research, how important it is to get you to come and take part in these clinical research things they do. You can come down and get perhaps qualified for it. If you do, you could be compensated for your time and travel, and you might be eligible for some of the medications and some of the devices you'd be able to use in this study. RedStar has been around for a while. They've done over almost 800 of these things. They keep doing them. They keep sending off the data to have a better way of knowing what we need in our community that would be able to treat you and make you feel better. So check them out. Go to renstar.net. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Have a great night, folks. We'll see you on Monday, and good luck to the Gators this weekend against Clemson. Good night, folks.